For Across the Balkans, we sit down with Woody Chishiti, the editor-in-chief of the Gunpowder Chronicles. We discuss with him why the Balkans are again making headlines in Europe and across the world. Woody, thank you very much for your time. As I've mentioned, the Balkans are going through a new era of security and a new era, I would say, of media attention. Are the Balkans getting this media attention again out of the wrong reasons?
Unfortunately, yes, it seems very much so. The triangle of Milorad Dodik in Bosnia and Herzegovina, Vučić in Belgrade, and Prime Minister Edi Rama sitting in Tirana for the next fourth term is somehow involved and entangled on a web of a situation that is taking this region seriously onto a national security threat. What I mean by that is I speak of the security threat for the security of Eastern Europe. And that means Vučić is playing with Moscow, Rama is playing with Belgrade, they're both playing with Kosovo and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Vučić for its own interest in both countries, Bosnia and Kosovo, Rama for its own interest to keep grip and power in Albania, while giving a good helping hand to Vučić in Belgrade for its nasty game in Kosovo and in Bosnia and Herzegovina together.
How much of a factor were international officials which were sent to the region contributing to the deterioration of the security situation in the Balkans, or to the confinement and actually holding the peace in the Balkans?
Unfortunately, over the last 4 or 5 years, what we witnessed in the Balkans has been an appeasement and tolerating foreign policy of European Union and the United States itself with Biden administration. They have consistently allowed Serbia's aggression discourse towards Kosovo and Serbia's appeasement of the aggressive discourse of Milorad Dodik in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Similarly, in Tirana, we have seen the Prime Minister Rama trying to hold grip and power, playing the diplomatic mirror of a good man, meanwhile appeasing and giving a very helpful helping hand to Vučić to get away with the aggression and the operations of his foreign policy that jeopardize the very fabric of security in this part of the region. And altogether, again, European Union, the Western apparatus of politics have allowed all this to continue to grow, and now we are in a very interesting ledge of, one would argue, potential conflict.
When you say potential conflict, keeping in mind the Hague and what happened in Bosnia and in Kosovo, we still have politicians in the Balkans who deny historical events of the past. Is there a way to move forward with this continuous denial of the truth which happened in the Balkans?
Yes, absolutely. Western powers should be more decisive about what it means to deliver justice. The criminals have to be held accountable and be settled behind the bars, there where they belong to. No criminal entity should be allowed, appeased, or tolerated in whatever circumstances, shape, or form to continue to play politics. This is what the Western powers should support and encourage, instead of trying to buy time for their interest of whatever that means. It's probably a debatable issue at another subject, but by tolerating what they have tolerated so far is a consequence of what we're seeing today, a serious security threat in the Balkans.
Based on your investigations, which were some of the names of both local politicians as well as international officials in the Balkans, which kind of drew your attention, and why did they draw your attention?
Well, you see, since Serbia signed agreement of foreign policy alignment with Moscow in September 2022, just a few months after Moscow decided to launch a full-scale invasion in Ukraine, there's been a consistent, significant escalation of tensions in the Balkans, specifically with Serbia playing with fire in Montenegro, Bosnia and Herzegovina, even trying to orchestrate provocations in Croatia, and delivering an annexation attempt in northern Kosovo in September 2023. There, he found help among the European foreign policy officials. There, he found help among the foreign policy envoys of the United States of America. And most significantly so, he found help in Tirana, where the Prime Minister of that time, in September 2023, today's Rama, has gone quickly in an early morning statement aiming to suggest a peace talks, acknowledging a new reality of whatever was going to be the outcome of Banjska attacks in September 2023 in Kosovo. He probably hoped that Serbia's attempt of annexation of Kosovo was going to be successful. But by the afternoon, security apparatus of Kosovo managed to successfully thwart the operation. Therefore, Rama later withdrew. However, he then joined the international chorus of appeasement and tolerance towards Serbia by saying that Kosovo should withdraw its security forces back on its rightful right to defend its territorial integrity from the aggression of Serbia. And this is what then led to continue with Serbia, provoke and escalate further more attacks on Kosovo. Now what's going on is there is a triangle of both happening from Belgrade, from Tirana, and some other operators such as journalists, media entities, and even political groups that are trying to undermine the course of justice of Kosovo that is currently ongoing in The Hague. The idea, what we have found, according to our journalistic investigative findings, suggests that they may want or may hope to undermine The Hague so then the current leaders of the former leaders of Kosovo Liberation Army and then those who actually sat in power in the aftermath of the war in Kosovo were going to possibly be free from the shackles of justice. What that means is with these people coming back possibly to power in Kosovo means Serbia could continue to exercise its goal of re-empowering its power within Kosovo's territorial integrity. As per current leadership of Kosovo that took a mandate in 2021, we saw that Serbia was successfully being challenged. No Serbia's administrative security state apparatus is any longer operating in Kosovo. Serbian national currency has been kicked out of the Kosovan system, and Serbian criminal groups that were jointly being operated with some of the Kosovo's political entities that are today sitting in the opposition side, they have been dismantled by the current leadership of Kosovo. And now we see this triangle of Rama, Vučić, and other entities in Kosovo trying to undermine the course of justice that is actually funded by European Union. This is absolutely outrageous to witness that European Union has yet to take a decision as to what they're going to do following these investigations as to what's going on.
Is this motivated by the rise of the far right in Europe, considering that there are countries in the Balkans which remain outside of the European Union? And are we witnessing a possible new redrawing of the borders in the Balkans?
Unfortunately, I don't really see those political entities that I mentioned before, that they do assign themselves to any sort of political ideology. If anything, they are just criminal entities, because as per our investigative findings, it suggests that they've opened doors to the drug cartels and all sorts of criminal groups that literally are there for the sake of power in order to be able to steal. So I can't really say that these people are entitled to some sort of a degree to be considered as anywhere far or left leaning political ideologies. They are just pure criminal entities that are sitting in the corridors of power. Consequently, we're seeing criminality being tolerated and the course of justice being undermined. So I think the sooner European Union authorities and other Western powers, I'm saying reasonable powers that still mean something, democracy, to them when you speak of democracy, the sooner they realize it and wake up and take decisive decision determinedly, the better it is. The later, the delayed they come forward, it might just be too late.
With what's going on in Ukraine, and Europe, so to say, recharging its military productions which were turned off since the Second World War. Are we seeing a possibility of a new conflict opening up, not just in the Balkans, but across Europe?
The reality of the matter is the entirety of the Baltic nations have put their budget into the war footing. Europe, Germany, France, and also Italy speaking about it, but also Britain has its own budget at the war footing. Everyone is recruiting soldiers, everyone is arming. That's a telling. When you go in the morning to buy groceries, you are going to buy groceries because you are going to cook some food. When you're going to buy weapons, it's because you're preparing for what's coming. Any other state that is, or any entity that is speaking otherwise, they are fooling themselves or trying to fool the others. I think people should see this very seriously and take into consideration that war, it is at the doorstep. And Putin of Russia is preparing for it and is moving forward. And if we allow that, he's going to come soon and knock at our doors.
So you just mentioned there seems to be a curtain between the reality of what people live like in the Balkans and official stands. How and what could people in the Balkans themselves do to change the politics which could lead them into a destructive way?
They should not vote for politicians that belong to criminal entities, because that's where Russia finds its nestled bad. Any power that is standing nowadays with Russia, if you just analyze and investigate their background, you will find full criminality in them. And therefore, Russian operators do take this as a matter of coercion, involve them in all sorts of criminality, and then extort this kind of evidence in order to get them to sit with them in promises of hope that they will keep holding grip on power.
Thank you very much for your time, and I wish you all the best with the Gunpowder Chronicles and your investigations in the future.
Thank you so much for having me.